So one of the news that came out today I thought was really cool was King of the Hill is coming back, which
Nice.
is well, it's see the thing is King of the Hill is a show I watched as like a kid,
Hmm.
and it's such a weird thing to think about them bringing it back because like the world now is so vastly different. I mean,
Yeah.
it is so absolutely vastly different. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to see what they're going to do, what they're going to turn Arlen, Texas into. Is it going to be like, MAGA hat central? Like, where is Hank Hill going to fit into that world? Dale Gribble is totally going to be a QAnon, Alex Jones loving conspiracy theorist, and Boomhauer is going to Boomhauer,
Hmm.
and I'm legitimately interested in that because I think one of the things that Mike Judge is very 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 good at is satire, and like really kind of like honing into like elements of like southern satire. For example, King of the Hill was Arlen, Texas. Then you had Beavis and Butthead was also set in it was set in Texas. I just forget where in Texas. But again, Beavis and Butthead from the South, that kind of ideology. You had Idiocracy, very much making fun of the South in the opening 5 minute montage of that movie. I'm assuming you've seen Idiocracy.
No.
You,
I'm
I
sorry,
cannot
no.
see. Have you ever watched fucking King of the Hill?
Well, to be honest, no. I was more of a Simpsons Futurama kind of guy. I was more Matt
Okay.
Groening than Mike
Well,
Judge.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I grew up with Simpsons, and I remember when Beavis and Butthead came out on MTV and everything else. Like I remember when like kids were blowing up their homes and throwing bowling balls off of overpasses that accidentally killed an infant around that time. There was a big how to do about Beavis and Butthead back in the day
Hmm.
because of how violent the show was. It was cartoon violence. It was cartoony as fuck. But kids were actually doing that shit back then because kids are, I don't know, it's stupid. But like that was a big thing. King of the Hill was way more like laid back, right? Like Dale there in the red hat, total conspiracy theorist, right? And at the end of
Hmm.
one of the seasons, they had a Walmart in town. It wasn't called a Walmart, it was called a Megalomart. And it was basically running out all the business in town because it was your mega store. All the mom and pop shops were dying. And Hank ends up actually getting a job working at the Megalomart when the propane company shuts down. Arlen Propane shuts down. And so at the end of the episode, something happens and the Megalomart explodes. And that's like the cliffhanger for the end of the season. Right. Well, in the beginning of the next season, Dale is, he's out there by where the wreckage is and he's talking with a federal agent as the federal agent is like sifting through the rubble. And he asks the federal agent a question and the agent responds and he just goes, yeah, well, that's what they want you to think. And the agent just stops, turns, lowers his glasses and just goes, sir, we are they. And then Dale goes, ah, and he just like takes off. And it's like one of the funniest fucking moments from that goddamn show because it's like, it's so crazy. But the thing with King of the Hill is like how like, I think it's like one of the first episodes or it's like maybe the third episode of the show. They go to Mexico and they're
Hmm.
going through the border and they say, like, Bobby's like, Dad, what's the board? What's that wall for? And then Hank is like, well, that's our way of telling them to stay out, basically. And it's like, ooh, well, maybe he says it like nicer and whatever, but it's like, I mean, they deal with a lot of like that down home Texas Southern racism shit, you know, but they do it in a way that's kind of topical and satiristic, and it never came across as mean spirited. But like, how are they going to handle it now? Everyone is like so fucking sensitive, on this stuff. So are they going to be able to pull it off?
Well, that's the question I was gonna. Well, that's the thing too, because this is coming from a new animation company that they're heading up, right? So, like, have they said like where it's gonna air at all, or where?
Well, this is what it says. So it says that it's been announced that the series will be revived 12 years after its final episode. The original series creator, Greg Daniels, who I think went on to go do The Office, or at least Parks and Rec, will
Mhm.
return to oversee the series through the new animation company, Bandera Entertainment. And there's also more than a dozen projects in the works under this animation company. Like Beavis and Butthead is getting revived, and a couple
Is
other
that is
things are.
that is that part of this or no?
Yes, Beavis and Butthead is also going to be revived.
No, I know it's going to get revived, but it's through this new animation company.
Yeah, it was announced before the formation of Bandera, at least. So it's going to be
Okay.
running. Yeah. I mean, and this is also going to be the second time Beavis and Butthead has been revived. They revived them like back in like 20, I think 2010, 2011.
Yeah, it was 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't very good. Like it just without the music videos, like it's definitely a bit of a problem. But I also feel like at the time Mike Judge was kind of like, I don't want to say phoning it in, but I feel like he didn't fully understand where, like the times were different, because when he was satirizing the early 90s to the mid 90s, you had PC culture, you had like, all the different like, emerging rap music and hip hop and grunge and rock and metal and everything else that was going on at the time. And they could really kind of satirize like a lot of, especially the PC stuff. Well, then in 2010, that wasn't that big of a thing, like the pendulum wasn't going back the other direction. Now the pendulum has gone back the other fucking direction. And so I think it's rife for satire. And so Beavis and Butthead is going to satirize the left a bit, or no, it's going to satirize the right. And then, sorry, King of the Hill is going to satirize the right. Beavis and Butthead is going to satirize the left. And because the thing is, there's another show that he did that was called The Good Family, and that was on ABC, and it was about a family of vegans, of vegan hippies that like ate all organic, and they drove an electric car, So like that show was short lived. I don't think it lasted a season, because making fun of the left explicitly is not going to get you anywhere with the left, because they don't want you to make fun of the left. They want you to make fun of the right.
Yeah.
And I think the right likes to laugh at themselves too. So it is what it is. So anyway, it does say here that so the no details about the plot or production details for the revival, but it comes with a bunch of other stuff like Netflix series called Bad Crimes, and of course the new Beavis and Butthead, or the revival of Beavis and Butthead. So I'm very curious to see how things like that are going to take off. I mean, again, this is stuff that I know that like, it's kind of like, this is like my childhood coming back up, which is so weird to say. As I get closer to hitting 40, it's so weird to go, oh yeah, should I watch like when I was a teen is being revived? But King of the Hill is an amazing show. I mean, like I think you would appreciate it now more that you're older. Because it was like definitely not like, I mean, Futurama and Simpsons are great and they're classics. This is like just down home, like there's an episode where Dale he launches a pirate radio station out of his garage, and it only has like an 11 block radius, and it ends up getting him in some trouble. So he has to sell it at the end of the episode, and he sells it to a Telemundo company. So there's this like Spanish guy, Hispanic guy that's in the garage just reading off everything in Spanish, and it's just for like the local shit, I mean, like the show, like the show is nuts, dude. The show is nuts here. Brian here says, I grew up with Daria, to be honest. Oh, I hated Daria.
No, you weren't a Daria guy?
No, I never I liked it when she was on there as diarrhea, cha. None of the
I love Daria.
None of that others. I never cared for that. I don't really, I never really got into Daria. That was the thing. Now Jess here says, is it a sequel series following Bobby? Maybe. Yeah. But I really feel like a lot of people are going to want Hank Hill coming back. They're going to want, Peggy Hill.
Do you think they ever do something like this? Like this, like here's the thing though, right? The reaction to like say like the Simpsons ending will be like no one's gonna care. It's like, oh my god, thank God the Simpsons is over. But would they ever try and pull like Disney Fox for like 5-6 years later, here comes the reunion special, the revival series, or like where they just like drop that dead? Because you only really do it for like special shows, I feel like, that ended like a while ago.
Yeah,
right? There's no like fanfare for this stuff.
Well, by the time the Simpsons gets to a point of where you're gonna have that 20-year reunion, the core cast is gonna be dead.
That's
and
like,
and I don't
really sad to think about.
Yeah, well, and I don't say it lightly, and of course I'm not happy about that. These are people whose voices I've heard practically my entire life, in one facet or another, But the thing is, like,
if it ever ends, though, to be fair,
well,
if that show ever ends.
Many years ago, my friend and I were discussing The Simpsons and like whether or not Fox would ever cancel it, and it's like the show is just, it's too profitable to cancel. It really is. It's just too profitable to cancel. And I'm like, well, why haven't they ever done like more movies? It's been 15 years since the last movie came out or the first movie came out. And I recently watched it again and it's still pretty funny, but it's like it's been so long since that's came out. Like you've had all this time to do more. But it's just I think what it is like the show is so profitable for what they do. Why fuck with it? So but I mean, but at least with bringing back King of the Hill, we get something that is not only nostalgic, but I think going to be really, really damn funny.